This is Sean Bland. This is Sean Bland with the Centrist, and we're going to do an interview today of one of our candidates. You mind introducing yourself?
Thank you. My name is Damon Lewis. I'm the Chief Assistant District Attorney for the 5th Judicial Circuit.
Okay, and Mr. Lewis, I understand that you're running for the District Attorney. Why are you pursuing that position?
You know, when I went to law school, I was so interested, basically enamored with the criminal justice system. I spent a good portion of my time working really hard on the criminal law because you always think of that as being a black or white issue, but you don't understand in the law you deal in the gray issues and how the law applies equally and justly to everybody. I really performed well in criminal law, and then when I decided toward the end of my law school career that was basically what I wanted to do. I told everybody I wanted to go to work and I wanted to be a prosecutor. I wanted to represent the people that didn't have a word or didn't have a voice. And based out of that, I graduated law school at the very end of '97. I took the bar, passed the bar, and then I had to wait a couple months for a job to come open in the 5th Judicial Circuit, and I got assigned to Dable. And I have been there since 1998, with the exception of 1 year that I left and went into private practice. And then when I was hired back in 2005, August 2005, I was promoted to chief assistant.
Okay. Now, you've given me a lot of your history, but I guess one of the burning questions on most people's minds is, what makes you qualified to be their DA, in your opinion?
Everybody thinks in terms of a district attorney being just somebody that goes to court or somebody that's handed a file to try cases. A district attorney actually is somebody who can take the hard cases, who can take the easy cases, who can take all cases and work them and apply them fairly and justly to everybody. Also, I have got 27 employees that I work with almost on a daily basis. I work with the budgetary issues. I work with trying to make sure that we can function, that we can serve the people the best that we can. You know, and contrary to what you hear, our budget is very slim. We ended the year last year with a plus balance of $11,000, which isn't much when you consider that we spent almost $1.7 million to run our office.
Okay. Now, you know, you've kind of given me a little bit about your qualifications. As being a current DA, what are some of the unique skills that you bring that some of the other candidates may not bring to the table?
I'm also the president of the Tri-County Child Advocacy Center, and that is a forensics group that we put together that actually interviews children that are victims of crimes, witnesses of crimes, or just have been in some very bad situations. That was set up, and I know I'm getting way to get around to it, but that was set up to make sure that children are only interviewed one time by an unleading person. Now, I'm president of the board. That's a nonprofit organization. I bring that set of skills. I'm a medical technologist. I used to work in a forensics lab, Alabama Reference Laboratory. When I get a DFS report, when I actually get a gunpowder residue, report, or when I get a firearms report, I've got the same education as a lot of people that are doing the testing. I understand the lingo. I know what it means. I know how to apply that to the everyday work environment that police officers get. When they get back a piece of evidence, I know what that is. I have tried capital murders in every single courthouse in our county. I have tried the abuse of children in probably almost every single courthouse. I have got a skill set. I'm a youth leader at my church. I love kids. I really love to work with youth. I'm understanding of the problems and the issues that they're dealing with. I used to do therapeutic drug monitoring. I understand what drugs are out there, and by working with youth, I understand the new things are coming in, the new concepts. I am fair, I'm understanding, I'm experienced. I've got 18 years experience working in the district attorney's office. I have enjoyed serving the people. I have enjoyed being part of our community. I have the skills, I have the mindset, I have the experience and the knowledge to further our district attorney's office.
Now, as you know, most people only think of a district attorney when it's time for a case. I mean, there's a crime, You have to make some decisions as to who goes before the grand jury, who gets prosecuted, things of that nature. What are some of the philosophies you use to make some of those determinations, or how do you? What can we expect from you as a DA in making some of those determinations?
Every single person in my circuit has an equal voice, be it from the person that doesn't know where they're going to sleep at night to being the person that owns the largest piece of property. Everybody has a fair and equal say. I do get called to crime scenes late at night. I do. There's sometimes I don't get to go home a whole lot. And you look at the general crime scene, you look at the whole circumstances surrounding it, and you have to be fair and you have to make tough choices. Sometimes there are deceased people, and then sometimes you have to understand that they're justified, they're legally justified. You have to understand that sometimes people do things that create themselves to be killed, and then sometimes you have to understand that there are people that are killed that absolutely there's no justification for it. And then just because you might like somebody, or just because that person might be, kin to a friend or somebody you've seen around town, because even though this is 4 counties, it's not large in the real world. It's within 2 hours from one end to the other end, and you have to sit down and make the tough choices. And I've been doing that for a really long time. And making a tough choice isn't always about being the popular choice, but it's about being fair. And you have to understand, you have to have the background, you have to have experience to make the fair choice. You have to make the right choice.
If you become DA, there are some causes and some cases or types of cases that people would, you say that you champion. You know what I mean by that?
Okay.
What type of cases or scenarios or situations are near and dear to you that you feel like you need to champion if you become a DA?
I'm always going to try to be the voice for the children.
Okay.
We as a community, and I mean our entire circuit, we have to champion our children. Our children are the future. There is not a greater commodity. There's not a more worthwhile commodity. There's not a more precious commodity than our children. The children that are abused, the children that are sexually abused, the children that are neglected, and the children that are, as bad as you had to say it, they are property sometimes of people to commit crimes against. I'm going to champion those children, and I'm going to seek justice for them to the full extent that I possibly can. I'm going to utilize any and all means I have to make sure that our children are protected by our community.
What does serving our citizens mean to you?
Serving our citizens is being a servant, and I'm going to break it down. It's just like the Apostle Paul. He was an humble servant. When I serve our communities, I mean I'm going to work diligently. I very seldom vacation. I very seldom take days off. I look forward to working. I look forward to making the tough decisions. And being a public servant doesn't necessarily be the person that's stepping out, getting all the attention, not necessarily being the person that's trying to get all the publicity, but I'm the person that's working, that's behind the scenes to make sure that everything is fair and just in our community.
Now, you know that there's a lot of controversy in the news regarding Black Lives Matter, police relations, community relations between the police and different communities. And you know the DAs play a pivotal role in how that can either go positively or go negatively. And we know that DAs work closely with law enforcement. How can you as a DA heal that divide that seems to be growing in the communities?
When you go to the communities and you ask the communities, what can I do to help you with your community? That's how I plan on addressing this. I want to go to the community leaders. I've been doing community watch groups for a good while now. And when you go to people and you face them and you talk to them, and you can't be afraid to face criticism, and you can't be afraid to face people that are upset and angry. And the only way you can heal our communities is when you have the ability to stand in front of people and listen and learn and be objective to what they're facing. I have prosecuted police officers. I have prosecuted people that the police have arrested. You know, the bottom line is we are all equal in the eyes of the law, and every single life matters.
Lastly, I'm a voter. I'm on the fence about voting for Damon Lewis at this point in time, right? What would you think I would need to hear in order to tip me over into the Damon Lewis category?
I have almost 18 years of experience working and fighting for you as a citizen. I have been fair and just at the best that I possibly could. I'm human. I've made mistakes. I've learned from my mistakes. And I've addressed when I've made those mistakes. I have the knowledge. I have the experience. I've helped run this office. I have plans that I can implement to create more jobs within the district attorney's office to better serve the citizens. And when I mean citizens, I mean the victims. I've got a plan to help get restitution, to get court-ordered monies, to get that back into victims' hands, back into the court systems. I also have the ability to work with my assistants, and I have the ability to help them better work with or to better serve our citizens.
Okay. Well, Mr. Lewis, I do appreciate you joining us on the Centrist, and good luck to you in your campaign and your quest to become DA for this circuit.
Thank you very much for having me. It's always a pleasure to see you.